want to thank you for being here. My name's Simon Salinas. I'm a recovering politician that was asked to come and do the emceeing here today. So it is certainly a pleasure to be here. And we timed it so that we could do it the day before summer starts. Tomorrow's the first day of summer, so we wanted to have a little overcast before we welcome and let everybody go on vacation for their summer breaks. But want to thank all of you for being here, and certainly want to thank the city of Greenfield and the folks, the developer that are making this project happen. As having been on local government for 30 years, it takes a while to get some of these projects going and going through a LAFCO process. But I've always been supportive of the leadership here in Greenfield. I know former Mayor Huerta's here with us. Thank you, Mayor, and I'll be introducing you in a bit when I do the other electeds. But to see this come to fruition now after many years, and I served as chair of LAFCO back in the 90s, and then this past 12, 13 years, it's great to see the developments coming into fruition. And certainly, I think the private sector does it a lot quicker than sometimes some of us with government. If Chris was doing it through government, he'd probably have to serve 3 or 4 terms before he got the building done here in Greenfield. We want to thank you for that. Some of the folks that are joining us here, certainly we have Supervisor Alejo, a very strong supporter of the community of Greenfield. So Supervisor Alejo's here with us. Thank you, Supervisor. We've got also Norm Groot from the Farm Bureau. Is Norm still here with us? Yep. Thank you, Norm, for being here. Greenfield Mayor Lance Walker. Mayor, thank you for joining us. We have a couple of council members. Councilmember Untalon is here. Councilmember Tipton is here with us. And then Councilmember White is also here joining us. Thank you, council members. We have the former mayor of Greenfield also, Mayor John Huerta. Thank you for joining us, Mayor. Art Salvagnio here, also a former council member here. Good to see you, Art. Dominic from Assemblymember Rivas' office is here joining us too. Thank you. Our best to the Assembly member. So anyway, let me thank you for being here, and we'll keep moving right along. We're going to ask our fearless mayor here from the city of Greenfield to come and say a few words about the project and his leadership here at the city of Greenfield. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Mr. Salinas. Welcome, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces, and good things are happening in Greenfield. The future looks very bright, and today is just one of those situations that we've needed this for a long time. And now that the county is going to be in our backyard, that's a great thing. It really is. So I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. I'm blessed to be up here as the Greenfield mayor. It was a long road. I've been on the council for about 6 years and decided to run for mayor, and was very blessed that I was able to win and become the new mayor of Greenfield. So having said that, I'm going to keep this brief. On behalf of myself, the city council, the city staff, and all the residents in Greenfield, we want to welcome Monterey County and Supervisor Chris Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's quite an honor. And now I'd like to introduce the developer, Mr. Max Becerra from Maximus 3.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of my development partner, Sam Mohan of Management, as well as my company, Maximus 3 Company, we're very happy and very pleased to be part of Greenfield's progress and growth. We've come here with a lot of vision, and it's a combined vision with the city of Greenfield to create this project, the Vines at Greenfield. Just a brief background about this project. The project is owned by the Yop and Rianda family, and we forged a relationship with them. Danny Yop and Norm Yop, they're out here somewhere. Danny, please, and Norm, please raise your hands. Yeah. Thank you for allowing us to develop this land. but we were brought here by former Mayor John Huerta from the city of Greenfield, who asked if we would come to see if this land is suitable for development. We've had a lot of success in the development in the Central Valley, primarily in farm working communities, emerging communities in the Central Valley, and we just fell in love with the community. Great city staff, city manager Paul Wood, and the entire staff, from Ann to Desiree to Doug and Tony, everybody here, Paul. You know, it just made us feel like this is the right recipe to put in a great project. Then we took a look at the Monterey County area, and we said, you know, how beautiful, how what a great ambiance the Monterey County area possesses. So the Vines at Greenfield is going to have this Monterey County rustic appeal. All of the buildings will be required to have a more of an architectural feel, rustic feel that will be reflective of Monterey County, and because we want people that are living in the area, in the South Monterey County area, as well as those people who travel to Northern California and Southern California, to stop in, to really feel the heart and soul of Monterey County, and we want them to stop in and maybe enjoy the wine country, but you know, hopefully they'll feel what I felt here, and I brought my partner here to feel what a wonderful place this is to enjoy and to really raise a family. So we have a lot of national tenants we're working with right now. We're so thankful that Starbucks has come on in. We have Carl's Jr.'s, and Gary Vick is here. Gary, are you? Yeah. Thank you for coming. Thank you, and committing here to our Greenfield project. Gary has all the other Carl's Jr.'s here in Monterey County. We have ARCO that is going up, and it'll be done and completed and up and running in about a month and a half. So that will be coming in. We have some other national tenants that I'm always asked about who's coming, and I really can't say because we're still in negotiation. But we have about 5 or 6 national tenants that are coming in as well. But we're so glad and so fortunate and so blessed to have County Supervisor Chris Lopez having his district office here in Greenfield, right by yeah, close to all of his constituents. I think that's important. You know, Chris is well liked throughout the county, especially here in the South Monterey County area, and something that kind of resonated in me, and when I had my talks with Chris. And we also want to thank George Salcido, who's not here right now, but he was very instrumental in forging all these talks. But Chris said, you know, I want to be accessible to my constituents. I want to make sure that the residents have access to me, and be assured that Sam and I will create a nice facility that will be welcoming to all the residents, and I want to make sure that Supervisor Lopez feels very happy and very proud to be at this location. But thank you all for coming, and everybody enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Max, for that. And let me next ask somebody that has been one of the strongest advocates here for the Valley, but also specifically for this community of Greenfield. And he's tag teamed with Supervisor Lopez to make sure that we send a clear message to the Judicial Council up in Sacramento, but also in our local courts, that Greenfield is deserving of having a courthouse here in Greenfield, something that we've worked for decades and decades. And so I want him to come in and say a few words and let him know how much we appreciate him here in the community of Greenfield. Supervisor Alejo, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really honored to be here today, and it's beautiful to be back in Greenfield, a city that I represented for 6 years when I served in the state legislature. I'm here with all my staff. We closed our office because we thought symbolically it was important for us to be here with South County communities and leaders. And as I look out to this crowd, it's beautiful to see our first responders, many different elected officials, business leaders, agricultural leaders, and certainly to be here with these two gentlemen that have been big champions for South County far longer than I have been able to represent Monterey County. But I wanted to come here to also say groundbreakings are important because they also symbolize new chapters, new beginnings. And it's really important when a new supervisor like Chris Lopez, as he's launching his term in office, he's also reminding the South County communities that he's bringing his services, his county office, closer to the community. And for me, that was really important to support. I represent most of the city limits of Salinas, and a lot of the work that we do, we only are able to be effective because we support one another. We support each other's districts, but in the end, we're helping lift up all people in Monterey County. But I hope that not too far down the road, we will have another groundbreaking to fulfill a promise that was made over 10 years ago to South County communities. When I worked as a staff attorney for the Superior Court, I would come a couple times a month to the old King City Courthouse. And during my time helping the self-represented litigants, I would be there one person after another, just helping them get access to justice so they wouldn't have to drive so far just to file a document, just to get a restraining order, just to get an explanation of how to do the next steps in their legal proceeding. But I hope that in the future we will be able to do a groundbreaking for that new courthouse. We're fighting hard with Simon and Supervisor Lopez to make sure that the court fulfills its promise to South County. So I hope that we will work together. We're not going to give up. We are going to realize it. Thank you, Mayor Walker, for being a champion, and former Mayor Huerta, and everyone else that we're going to fulfill and make that happen also here in South County. So thank you. Let's keep working together. And I want to say, give everybody a round of applause from South County for being champions for your community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Alejo. Next, I've got a couple of more folks to introduce. We have our County Council, Monterey County Charles McKee. Thank you, Charles, for joining us. Mr. Mike Hutchinson is here with us. Mike, thank you for being here. Me Memorial Hospital in King City. Mr. Vasquez is here from former trustee for the school district. Mr. Vasquez, thank you for joining us. We have Mark Lopez. Mark is here also from the Monterey Behavioral Health Commission. Thank you, Mark, for joining us here. And then I also saw a former council member, Avelina Torres. Welcome, Avelina. Thank you for joining us. And also just a quick thank you to the Monterey County facilities. I know Elle's here and others. Thank you, facilities, for helping us bring the chairs out here and be able to set up the groundbreaking here ceremony. So thank you for that. Before I get to Supervisor Lopez, let me ask Dominic. I think he has a certificate that he wants to present. Dominic from Assemblymember Rivas' office. Would you join us?
Well, good morning, and I'll be brief because certainly I'm not the elected official. The former state legislators here know what my boss is doing today. He's up in Sacramento fighting for things like the courthouse we're speaking of today. But I just wanted to come present this certificate on behalf of Assemblymember Rivas because certainly it's important what Supervisor Lopez is doing today. What he's doing is it's more than just making those votes and having those discussions every Tuesday. Part of being an elected official is being available to the community. And it's not by being available to the community by saying, I'm an hour that way. It's by saying, I'm gonna be in the community available to not just the people who supported me, but the whole community. And so what he does here today by having this groundbreaking means a lot, not only for the residents of Greenfield, but the entire community of the Salinas Valley. So on behalf of Assemblymember Robert Rivas, we would just like to present this certificate to Supervisor Chris Lopez for all the work he's doing to represent not only Greenfield, but the entire Salinas Valley.
Thank you, Dominic. Appreciate it. Well, let me just say a few words before we have Supervisor Lopez come here and give us a few words here. But when Chris decided to run last year. I told him one of the important things is when you make certain pledges and commitments to a community, you got to keep them, and so that they know that you're not just asking for their vote, you're asking for their trust to carry out the agenda that you have set out for the district. But one of the things that's important, and I know it is to be able to be as close as you can to your constituents. Being the Board of Supervisors in the area that's the most vibrant right now, developing more so than the peninsula, is having all this growth. You need to be able to have access to your elected officials, to be able to bring concerns, issues that they need to be able to address. And just having watched the board go through this budget here, I mean, he's done a good job, a great job, in fact, in terms of representing the Valley communities, getting some money for scholarships for the Valley communities, working on the roads and making sure that the money that we all voted for in Measure X actually gets implemented, and he'll be putting up, in fact, he might have already put up a map of a lot of the roads that are going to be starting to get fixed. But it takes somebody to be there constantly talking to our county organizations, county agencies. We need these projects, we need to get some response, and no better way than to have your office here next to the people. And it's not just for Greenfield, but for the Valley communities. They understand the importance of being able to get in touch quickly with their elected official to provide input on many important projects. So Chris is doing that, and I'm glad that I was able to support him and make sure that the community understood the importance and what was at stake with this last election in November. And with that, let's give a warm welcome to Supervisor Lopez. Thank you, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if there's going to be a picture taken of me for the next few days that doesn't have this smile plastered across it, because this is big for me personally. When we set out on the campaign trail a year ago almost, what we did was make some commitments that I knew we were going to be able to follow through on, and this is one of those. Now, getting it done this quickly was honestly something that I saw as a heavy lift, but working with somebody like Max and finding this site where there's development happening because of the leadership of a council and a mayor like Mayor Walker, Councilmember Tipton, Untalon, and White, to bring a project like this to the community of Greenfield gave us that opportunity to come in. It gave us the opportunity to look at placing an office. Honestly, we're talking about Greenfield a lot today, but it's not just about Greenfield. This district is massive. It goes from East Salinas, Williams Road in Salinas, all the way down to Ranchita Canyon and Bryson Hesperia in the far south along the edges of southern Monterey County. And this is the heart of the valley for many reasons. It's not just it's near the population center, which is just slightly north of here, but it is the geographic center of this district. And the reality is, to serve the community, we have to be where the community is. And for some folks, we're still an hour away. Right here where we're standing today, you're still an hour away from folks that live in the farthest reaches of South Monterey County. So what I wanted to do by making this the focal point is to bring us to a place where we're as accessible as possible to every single resident, no matter how dense the population might be where you live. And I want to thank former Assembly member Supervisor Luis Alejo for supporting me on the board when I brought this forward. Just so you guys know, there's no other supervisor that's currently paying for office space, and it was something that raised some eyebrows. Folks said, well, is that something we want to start doing? But looking at the facilities that were available in southern Monterey County, this was the only place that made sense. And partnering with a private developer to create the correct space for our community was worth it, and my board saw it through and gave me a 5-0 vote on it. So that was huge in making sure we're committing to southern Monterey County. So thank you for your leadership. Simon, what words do I have to the gentleman who showed me how to do every single thing that I know how to do today? How to lead, how to be the person out front, and how to make sure that my community's voice was being heard and being represented on that board of supervisors. I am proud of the roadmap that we did get up on Facebook, so if you get a chance, go look at that. There's a lot of roads in southern Monterey County that are going to see investment that haven't in a very long time. And I shared off the dais, there is somebody who calls me often and says, I see another pothole. And that person is sitting on my left. And he says, I drove Old Stage again this weekend. Guess what I found? A pothole, yep. So we still have an advocate. Do not worry. The voice is there. But those investments are coming. And, that map is for this fiscal year. And I'm proud of that CIP we put forward this Tuesday. And it was the only reason I'm here being able to do what I'm doing today is because of the leadership and the opportunities you gave me. A lot of folks closed doors behind them. But as I watched you over time, you've opened doors for people coming behind you and shown them how to do things that most folks develop a skill and are kind of afraid to share it, because if you can do what I do, you can take my job. Well, when I developed the skills, he said, here, take my job. So he's right. He's a recovering politician. I I know I already thanked Mayor Walker, but honestly, the leadership that you guys have shown, not just on this case, but the courthouse issue, as we talk about placing resources where they're needed, as we talk about reaching out to our constituents and making sure that they have access. It's not just me. It's not just, I'm going to continue to push for additional resources here. I'm hoping the Ag Commissioner will join me here in Greenfield. I'm hoping that Behavioral Health will join me here in Greenfield. But it's also about the state. Step up. It's time. This is the time for us to show that it's true leadership is reaching out to your constituents where they are and making yourself accessible to them. And so we're hoping to lead by example here today. This isn't just words. We're going to put some shovels in the ground and start a project here that's going to be a lasting project thanks to Max and his team here. This is going to be something that I hope the community will look to as a resource. We're going to have a conference room that's open to the public. I know we have one at the library, but I can tell you that room is used very often. So it's time to create those additional spaces for our community. I want to thank my wife for her constant support. She's taking some time off work to be with here today. Hasmin, thank you for coming out. And her sister Liz, who came out today to support as well. Thank you so much. But mostly this is my way of saying thank you to the community and following through on a promise. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have the opportunity to lead, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to move this office to Greenfield, to set our roots deeper here in South County. My roots are from King City, and Greenfield, you know, each of our cities has their own little personality, and sometimes in the past, at least when you're in high school, we were very competitive with Greenfield High. But for me, it's still home. This is who I am. This is where I'm from. And the fact that maybe one day a week, Sandra, my scheduler, I hope that maybe one day a week, you know, you'll keep me here in Greenfield all day so I don't have to travel. Thank you. Now, I do want to clarify one big point, because I'm often asked this as I'm in the community about this specific project. This is not a satellite office. This is our full-time office. We will have staff here every single day, and it will be my key staff, Sandra and Priscilla, who today would not be possible with, so thank you, Priscilla. They will be here in Greenfield every single day serving our community along with me. Obviously, I'll be running up and down for meetings, but the reality is that this is home base. This is not a satellite office. This is not just an extension. This is where we will be every single day serving you, our community. So what I learned from my dad, my parents aren't able to be here today. Unfortunately, they had a pressing matter they had to attend to, but what I learned two key things from my parents. And my dad said, put a pot of coffee on every single morning. And so that's something I want to institute when we get here to Greenfield. There will be a fresh pot of coffee on, even though we're next to Starbucks. You know where we're going to buy that coffee. But the second piece is you put up the American flag every morning. That's just part of the DNA, part of the person that I am. And it's something my dad showed me. We had a crisis in King City most folks are aware of. We lost our building. And the morning after the fire, while there was still smoke rising off those ashes, my dad pulled out his spare flag and walked up to the pole and ran up the flag. And for the community, that meant something. You know, and so for me here, that was my one request of Max when we looked at the layout. I said, where's the flagpole? He said, there isn't one yet. And I said, I want it right next to my office, because I want to walk out every morning and put up that flag. And that's my commitment to this community, that I see you, I understand you, and I understand our history together here in the Valley. And I want to continue to work, but that means being here, part of the fabric. And I thank you for your trust that you've put in me. And I hope that you'll continue to trust in me as we move forward through the next few years, continuing to bring great change to our community. But right now, I think it's time. I think we've waited long enough, Max. I say we break some ground. All right. Thank you, everybody.